What's up, YouTube gamers? Young Soul back with another video. Between Xbox and PlayStation, which divisions trust their first-party studios? The studios that are under their umbrella. Which company trusts their first-party studios more? Because what I'm looking at is I'm looking at the landscape in the 8th generation, and I'm seeing a lot of Xbox One exclusives. The majority of them up to this point, and I believe in 2016 it might be a majority as well, of first-party exclusives that Xbox owns. Even if they own the IP, they're outsourcing the development. Like for instance, okay, perfect example is the 2016 Quantum Break, which looks like an interesting game. Xbox owns that IP. Same thing with Scalebound. I was incorrect on the previous. I wasn't incorrect. I asked the question if Scalebound was owned by Microsoft, and it turns out that it was. I thought it wasn't, but it was. But Scalebound and Quantum Break are perfect examples now. Microsoft owns these IPs, and I keep hearing Xbox fanboys talk about how Microsoft has so many studios, and yet we really only hear about the same 5. We never hear about any other ones. I mean, you've got Quantum Break, but it's being developed by Remedy. So they outsource that development. You've got gaming studios underneath the Microsoft umbrella, or so I'm led to believe by Xbox fanboys, and yet, why aren't they making Quantum Break? Why aren't they making Scalebound? These are games that are owned by Microsoft, which means they're the ones who decide who the developer is. Because the owner of the IP decides who the developer is, decides, you know, when to release the games, when to start on them, which direction they go. The owner of the IP has all of that responsibility, which means Microsoft decided who should develop these games. Now they got all these development studios, again, so I'm led to believe, and yet they don't use them. Like I said, Quantum Break, Scalebound. We're talking Remedy, which Remedy is closely aligned with Xbox, but it's not an Xbox exclusive developer. Okay, and we all know that Platinum, who just came out with Bayonetta 2, what, a year and a half ago, they're obviously not, you know, an Xbox developer either. Not an exclusive Xbox developer, not underneath the umbrella. So the question is, why is it that they supposedly got all these studios, but they're not? None of them. We only know the 5 studios, the same 5 studios we always know. We know the Gears studio, Black Tusk, or now they're called the Coalition. We know Halo Studio 343. We know Forza Studio, Turn 10. We know Fable Studio Lionhead. They might have switched, but I still think they're Lionhead. And then we know Rare. Okay? Those 5 studios. We don't know about any other studios other than those 5 studios. The problem with that is all of them keep making pretty much the same game. Like 343 will always only make Halo. You know, Black Tusk, whatever, Coalition only make Gears. Lionhead, to my knowledge, has only ever made Fable. I mean, maybe they made some more stuff. I'm not saying they haven't. They might have. You know what I mean? Turn 10 has only made Forza. Rare has a whole catalog of games, so they're not tied to any one game, because they do have a whole catalog, but most of their catalog was all made before Microsoft. If Microsoft owned Rare from the beginning, they would have only been making 1, maybe 2 different games. Okay? And so why is it that Xbox doesn't trust these other developers, these other development teams that they supposedly have? And I keep saying supposedly because, I don't know, I'm not necessarily saying they don't exist, but if they don't make anything, do they really exist? You know what I mean? Whereas when you compare that to PlayStation, you've got development teams all over because they trust them. And they not only do they trust them, but they trust them to do different type of games. So you've got, you know, everybody knows about all the Sony, all the development companies with Sony in their name, like Sony Japan, Sony Santa Monica, Sony San Diego, Sony Bend, Sony London. Then you got, you know, obviously the Naughty Dogs, what is that? Sucker Punch, Guerrilla Games, Guerrilla Cambridge, Polyphonic Digital. I mean, They're all known for making it. Now, you may not like the games they put out. I'm not here to try to convince people to like the games that any of these developers put out, but they all have made prominent developed games. Big time games. Media Molecule is another one. I forgot them. I mean, and not only does PlayStation trust them more to make games, all of those developers make games. Sony and PlayStation even trust these developers to change genres. Naughty Dog used to do action adventure, weren't they? Jak and Daxter, or were they Crash Bandicoot? I can't remember. Before they started doing Uncharted and The Last of Us. Sucker Punch was doing Sly Cooper, if I'm not mistaken, before they started doing Infamous. You've got Guerrilla Games going from first-person shooter to third-person open-world RPG. You've got Media Molecule doing a completely different thing with, Dreams. That's completely different from, from Little Big Planet. They trust their guys to do whatever they want. Go out and do. You got an idea? Go for it. That's part of the reason why I like the PlayStation ecosystem. Because they do that. Whereas Xbox says, no, you have to stay doing. That's part of the reason why Bungie left. I mean, it is what it is. Because they were demanded to do the same thing. They turned around and did another first-person shooter anyway. But point is, they were demanded to do just Halo. Whereas on PlayStation, look, they're not demanded to do anything. They're over here doing whatever they want, just about changing genres, whatever. And Sony's like, cool, sounds cool, go for it, let's do it. So let me know what you think. Which company, Xbox, PlayStation, which one trusts their own developers more? Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I'll holla back. Peace.